So good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's neighborhood meeting. My name is Madeline Kowalchuk, and I'm a senior planner here with the Development Services Department at the City of Barrie. Also in attendance is the Ward 2 Councillor, Councillor Nixon, so welcome. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to present to you, the neighborhood, a development concept being considered by the owner of the development team for 196 to 202 Dunlop Street West prior to a formal development application being submitted to the city. This provides an opportunity for the development team to hear initial community feedback and incorporate it into their plans before making a full and formal development application to the city. Please be aware that we are recording tonight's meeting for the public record. The recording will be used for the purpose of garnering your input and responding to inquiries and will be considered public information. Please also be aware that as a registered attendee tonight, your mailing or email address will be added to our mailing list so that you can receive further information about this application as it progresses. Should you have any questions about this collection or anything at all, please feel free to reach out. I'd also like to let everyone know that there are staff behind the scenes managing the technology tonight. They're here to make sure everything runs smoothly, to grant participants the opportunity to speak and assist with any questions that you may have in the chat. Please bear with us if we have any issues, and if you do get disconnected, please feel free to log back in or reach out to us if you have any other concerns. The intent of tonight's meeting is to provide a quick overview of the application and to provide members of the public with an opportunity to become familiar with the development application and the planning review process, as well as to ask any questions of us as staff, as well as the applicant who is here this evening. Just a quick overview on the screen there for your review. What to expect for tonight's neighborhood meeting is a brief overview from the city regarding our review process and possible timing, a brief presentation from the applicant's representative describing the proposal, and an opportunity to ask questions of either the applicant or the city staff and provide comments or identify your proposed concerns with the application. What not to expect this evening is a city staff recommendation on the application or any sort of detailed analysis on the proposal. That will happen later in the process, or any sort of debate on the merits of the proposal between the city, the applicant, or any members of the public as well. Before we get into the presentation, I just wanted to quickly highlight the next steps for an application process. This neighborhood meeting is established early in the development process to ensure local concerns are incorporated and addressed through the city's review. After this meeting, we expect the applicant will make a formal submission for this development project. Formal submissions undergo full technical reviews and must address comments received at this neighborhood meeting. From the city's technical departments, external agencies, as well as members from the public more broadly, all of this will be incorporated into the formal application that the city will receive from the applicant. In conjunction with this meeting here tonight, a statutory public meeting will be held virtually on the application at our planning meeting. At this public meeting, applicants will present their application to our council, answer questions, provide an overview of the application, and respond to any issues or concerns identified at this neighborhood meeting as well as at that public meeting. As part of that public meeting, members of the public are also welcome to provide verbal or written comments. Following that public meeting, staff will continue with the technical review process and the applicants will make any necessary revisions to the development proposal. Once the review process has concluded, a staff recommendation report will be brought forward to council for their consideration. All comments received through this review process, including those received at tonight's meeting and the public meeting, are identified and addressed in this staff report and will form part of staff's recommendation on the subject matter. A staff report for this particular application would likely be brought forward sometime later this year or early next. I will now move to the applicant's presentation. And as I mentioned, the proposed project and application will be presented first, which will follow a question and answer period. Tonight, we're focusing on a rezoning application proposed at 196 to 202 Dunlop Street West. The applicant's planner is Nick from Innovative Planning Solutions. And the proposed amendment to the zoning bylaw would rezone the lands from residential multiple dwelling second density, commonly known as RM2, and rezone it to mixed use corridor, which is known as MU2, to permit a 4-story mixed use building. The proposal would have 33 residential units, which have some which are rental units as well, and 120 square meters of commercial ground floor area separated in the form of 2 commercial units. I'll now hand the meeting over to Nick, who can introduce himself and then share your presentation on the proposal.
Thanks, Melon. Just going to share some screen here. Okay. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to the virtual neighborhood meeting for 196 to 202 Dunlop Street West. My name is Nick Scarrett from IPS, and I'll be representing the owners of the property. The neighborhood meeting seeks to provide a brief overview of the proposed development and zoning bylaw amendment process, and most importantly, receive your feedback. This meeting is a first step and allows for an introduction of the development. A future formal public meeting with council will take place in the future, which will ask for additional feedback while presenting the concept to council for consideration. This slide provides an aerial and street view image of the subject lands. The subject site is comprised of 2 lots that are to be merged into a singular parcel located along the north side of Dunlop Street West and 2 lots east of Francis Street North. The total lot area of 2,430 square meters with 48 meters of frontage and currently occupied by 2 single detached dwellings and commercial uses at the rear of the property. All structures will be removed from the subject site through the appropriate processes. This image generally shows surrounding uses. The property is centrally located between Highway 400 to the west and the downtown core to the east. Further east is Kempenfelt Bay. The subject site is surrounded by multiple uses such as residential directly abutting the property, including a mixture of commercial uses, along with direct access to institutional, commercial, and downtown core amenities. This slide provides a high-level overview of planning policies and regulations within this area. The city's new official plan, recently approved, outlines policy framework along Dunlop Street West for future development proposals such as this one. Dunlop Street West provides direct access to the downtown core area, and as such, the official plan designates this portion of Dunlop as a strategic growth area and an intensification corridor. This area is also within the strategic employment and economic district designation of the official plan that contains policies to promote mixed-use developments. Mixed-use developments contain ground floor commercial uses and upper-level residential uses within these designations. Building off the policy framework of the official plan, the city's zoning bylaw is an implementation tool that contains specific regulations such as uses, setbacks of structures, parking requirements, building height, and landscaped areas. The current zoning of the property is residential multi-dwelling second density with a site-specific 189, which allows for multiple residential units and limited commercial uses. This slide provides a concept illustration of the proposed development of a 4-story mixed-use building containing 33 residential units and 2 ground floor commercial units. As shown, the building is oriented close to Dunlop Street to promote increased pedestrian access and landscaped areas. Parking is provided in the rear of the building and within the building on the ground floor, accessible by a singular driveway from Dunlop Street. Ground level commercial units front Dunlop Street, while the 33 residential units located on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floors are above. It is important to note that the residential units are rental-based to assist with rental housing options within the city. The proposal seeks to rezone the subject lands from residential multi-density second density, better known as RM2, to mixed-use MU2 zone with special provisions in order to permit the construction of a 4-story, 33 residential unit mixed-use building. The special conditions requested for this development are for increased front yard setbacks for a percentage of the building fronting Dunlop Street and reduction in parking spaces under the mixed-use classification. As you can see, this slide provides basic architectural elevations that could be pursued through this development. The owners are committed to working with the city to achieve a very high level of urban design and architecture for the proposed 4-story mixed-use building. As shown, the front elevation contains commercial units on the ground floor and residential units above with personal balcony areas. The peak roof style aligns with existing built-up neighborhood area characteristics and provides for rooftop amenity area on the north portion of the roof. The rooftop amenity area is accessible by residents and allows for increased common areas compared to ground-oriented amenities. It would be noted that no floor plans have been created at this point of the process. However, it is anticipated the residential rental units will be a mixture of 1 and 2 bedroom units. We cannot confirm the ground floor commercial uses at this time. However, they would be aligned with the zoning bylaw provisions for permitted commercial uses. So as we change from RM2 to MU zone, the rezoning of the property is necessary to the RM2 zone to facilitate site-specific provisions to address the increase in front yard setback and reduce amount of parking. This neighborhood meeting is the first step in the zoning bylaw amendment process, and a future council public meeting and council decision will be required. This slide provides a policy and regulatory summary of applicable planning documents. The proposed development aligns with and promotes established policy visions for this area as established through the provincial policy statement, the growth plan, and the new City of Barrie's official plan. The zoning change from RM2 to MU2 further adheres to existing policy and growth projections along Dunlop Street West and the City of Barrie's draft zoning bylaw, which is set to be in effect approximately a year or less from now. This final slide, one of the last final slides, is a summary of the proposal. As you can see, the proposal is for a 4-story mixed-use building containing 33 residential rental units, 2 commercial units on the ground floor fronting Dunlop Street. The zoning bylaw amendment from MU2 with site-specific provisions supports the current site plan. Amendment aligns with official plan designations and the city's vision for this area. It also provides and supports intensification targets, stable development, and helps contribute to complete communities. The proposal is also consistent with the goals and objectives of all levels of planning policy, and it represents good planning. This concludes the presentation, and IPS and myself would be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have.